Anti-Society, welcome back to the Anti-Social Planet, and today we are watching episodes 230 and 231 of Bleach. So we are finally getting into the proper filler arcs. We've done a couple of the just standalone filler episodes, but getting into the actual arcs. And I put a poll over on the community tab here on YouTube asking you guys which arcs you wanted to see first, which ones you were most excited about. And I said, just gonna go from what has the most votes to the lowest. So you guys voted and you wanted to see the Zanpakuto arc, or most of you wanted to see the Zanpakuto arc first, which I am very excited for because I think that this is the one that I've heard mentioned the most to people talking about filler arcs that they actually enjoy, which I guess makes sense if like most of you have voted for this being the first arc that I check out, but it's also the one that people mentioned when I was asking questions about the Zanpakuto during the Soul Society arc, so all the way back then when I was asking about that because we had a lot of interactions between Ichigo and Zangetsu, but we also got a glimpse of Renji's like Zanpakuto entity thing, so I was asking questions about what exactly those were, and you guys told me that I would find out a lot more of that in the Zanpakuto filler arc, so I'm very excited to get into some lore, especially when it's related to like the magic system and stuff like that. So all of the world building, I'm just very excited, but other than that, I don't have a ton of context for this. I don't know if this is going to be going on like while there's like Arrancar stuff happening, or just like in Soul Society, or if there's a time jump of some kind, like it's partly in the past like we saw with the Pendulum arc. Really not sure where exactly the focus is going to be. I would assume it's not going to be with Ichigo and friends, but maybe it is, because sometimes they just break the fourth wall and they're like, right, we're just gonna walk away from this particular part of the plot for a little while and have a filler arc. So not sure, I haven't done a filler arc yet, so I don't really know what they're like, but let's just get into episode 230. In 3, 2, 1, go. Sure. I love Ikage's Bankai. I was so excited when that happened. I think Renji's Zanpakuto is still my favorite though. Oh, they have the same opener as the other arc. Probably the one before this. I don't know which part of the Arrancar arc comes before this. I should remember these things because I did it recently, but I don't. I thought they would have had their own opener. It was like specifically for the filler arc, but maybe not. I mean, I'm not complaining, this opener is a bop, but still. I assume that this arc is going to be a lot about the captains and lieutenants. Just because they probably have mastered their Zanpakutos a little bit better, but also they're the ones that, as an audience, we're more familiar with. Maybe there'll be some original characters, though. There might be some canon arc only characters. I mean, filler arc only characters. Ominous. What's with the green water at the bottom of a cave? There are lights, so it's not a random cave. Seems like an odd place to take a nap, but sure. So a lot of new characters, just right off the bat. I don't know, but the creepy laugh. See, that looks like Otohime's ability with the little fairy sprite things. But also vaguely like Suifeng's Zanpakuto with the like sting bee thing. See, and the long fingernails makes me think of gosh, why can't I remember names now? Um Creepy scientist. You guys are probably going off at me at your screens right now because I can't remember. It's been so long since we've seen Sengetsu. I mean, I saw him recently because we've been going through the Abridged series, but it's been a while since he's been in the normal show. I didn't expect to see Ichigo in this either. Training? Mayuri. Sorry, that was what I was trying to think of more. The long fingernails makes me think of Mayuri. Just saying if like those were, I'm assuming possibly the spirit entities that are in the Zanpakuto, then uh just like connecting them with some of the Zanpakuto users we have seen up to this point. Look, I love Arenji. I love his Zanpakuto. I don't think he has anything against Byakuya. Just saying. Uh-oh. He got distracted. Wasn't that the guy with the long nails, though? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the nails are connected to the blades, and that's why uh he would be Byakuya's? I like that Arenji did fairly well against Byakuya, and his response is, "So what's wrong?" He's hearing voices that'd be concerning for anyone, hopefully. I hope that that makes you worried. If it doesn't, I want to reconsider that one. Shiro? controlling the weather, which is still incredibly cool. There's something about how big of a flex it is to be able to control the weather. It's a dragon, which I will forever see as Dragoon from Beyblade. Even though they're not that similar in design, it's just what it's like in my head. Oh. So multiple people starting to have some inconsistencies with their spectos. Aww. Momo! My heart just feels so many things. Aww. Well, thank you. I'm enjoying the cuteness now because I feel like this is gonna take a turn. She's so cute. Start to put the pieces together. Toshiro, something sinister's going on. Mm-hmm. Aw, he wants to stay for the treats. He's so cute. Sometimes I forget that he's like really young and also like not as, I don't know, strict, kind of a person. He does have more of a fun side. He just like doesn't really give into it that much. He's very self-disciplined. Hello. New arrivals? I have a bad feeling. Maybe I've seen too many like horror films or anything, but giggling children always makes me a little bit on edge, especially with the ominous music and stuff in the background. Except now where it's quiet, which is even scarier. Okay, but when like, head captain is a little bit freaked out, that makes me very unsettled. Are they meeting outside? Usually they meet in the meeting room. Oh, even Harukia is here. Oh. I bet she's not showing up. Why do I feel like Kenpachi will show up at some point, but with style? When he feels like it. Hello? You seem freaked out. Uh-oh. It's a good question. Just looming over him. And seems to know who he is. Why do we sort of know who this person is? I mean, I guess it's kind of their job to know about lots of different entities related to the soul world and stuff. Especially if they somehow live near Soul Society or can get somewhere near Soul Society. Then I guess they would probably be aware of it. Okay, but like all of the captains and lieutenants, minus a few, against this one guy, seems like a fight you probably don't want to pick. Unless you're super confident, I guess. Are they using their Zanpakutos against them then? Because that's terrifying. Not that they need their Zanpakutos necessarily to fight, but it definitely does take a bite out of their power if they can't use their Zanpakuto. Yeah, that is different than what his Zanpakuto usually looks like. He usually has the like helmet. Oh. I wasn't prepared. Wait. I mean, I know he'll be ultimately okay because it's a filler arc and he comes back later in the plot, but I don't know. Are we going to summon our Zanpakutos after we just saw that one of them went rogue? And we've been having issues with them? I don't know. I'm just questioning. Yeah. whether or not that'll work out. Like a Miyuri's just like, intriguing. Uh, that seems bad. That seems bad too. Ooh, isn't it Hizaki's? Uh-oh. The shadow though, the fact that he's basically just like a silhouette. It's kind of a cool design though. I'm trying to see which ones are all which. I can't tell if the ice girl is uh Rukia's or Toshiro's. See, that might be uh Toshiro's, the guy that just appeared. So I'm assuming the woman with the ice was Rukia's. Okay, it makes sense that she would be Matsumoto's. I'm just saying. The vibe makes sense because they said that their personalities were similar to each other. I'm gonna feel bad now that I don't remember all of the Zanpakuto's names. I probably will better after this though. Seeing them as like full entities, like characters in their own right, as opposed to like just weapons associated with Soul Reapers, I'll probably be able to remember them better. Ooh, I love that. I love the imagery of that being them suddenly above the Soul Reapers. So there's a different ender. That's cool. Maybe there will be a new opener come the next episode. Maybe they just didn't want to give any of it away. I feel like I'm definitely gonna spend a bunch of time trying to figure out who's connected to who. So I'm pretty sure, yeah, he's connected to Toshiro because we saw him appear next. I think she's probably Feng's. Okay, yeah. Miyuji is pretty easy to pick out. Yeah. Okay, Feng's is the little one because the bee imagery stuff. I love the aesthetic of this ender. It's very like pop art inspired, which I love. Okay, yeah, so the oh, the girl with the eye patch is gosh, names. Um Shinsui. Ooh. Man, I don't know why my brain is not working with names today, but that'll be fun. Just Ichigo being like, I don't even get to be in this one. Well, I know Zengetsu. I like that we're gonna get little things at the end though, where it's like, let's learn about this specific Zanpakuto. Because that'll definitely help me out. Is he gonna be around though? He seems like he might have been trying to warn Ichigo about something. Okay, so I have a lot of thoughts coming out of that first episode because I'm going to be spending so much time trying to remember names to all of these Zanpakuto, and I don't know how well I'll do because most of the time I filter them out because they're too many syllables for me. Just gonna be honest. Anything more than 3 syllables, I cannot promise that it'll be in my head, so apologize for that. I feel like you guys know that names are not my strong point anyway at this point, so hopefully you can forgive me for that one. But I am so excited to see the Zanpakuto being manifest in like their own like physical form. Like I thought that we were going to learn a little bit about them as directly related to the Soul Reaper that they work with, like through their more spiritual essence body thing, as we've seen with like Zengetsu. So I thought that that was gonna be kind of how this went, and maybe would be a little bit more lore heavy than something that had like more of a action-y uprising kind of plot. But I think that this is going to be really exciting because not only are we going to be able to learn about the Zanpakuto as like their own individual characters with their own personalities, and I'm going to be trying to like match them to like who their Soul Reaper was, but also to see their lore and like who they are as like Zanpakuto as reflected through this kind of uprising, go independence kind of vibe that they have. I don't know if I agree with the let's destroy a bunch of buildings with people in them, but also I kind of understand the rage if you've been like trapped with Soul Reapers for like probably a really long time, like hundreds of years. If like, because Soul Reapers are like really old, they've been around for a long time, and once you get your Zanpakuto, that's like, that's it, that's your Zanpakuto. So I'm really interested to see where this evolves and how it escalates into other things. I don't feel like I have a ton to specifically point out because it's such an, like, it's the first episode to the arc. It's setting up a lot of different things. We even got like a little summary thing that was like, this is what a Zanpakuto is as in direct relation to a Soul Reaper. I wonder how much we will learn about them as like their own thing, because I saw them more connected, like intertwined with the like spiritual pressure of the Soul Reaper specifically. Like I thought that they were more connected to like the Soul Reaper's spirit pressure like manifesting into something specific, obviously with like their own personality and like consciousness and stuff like that, but I thought it was a little bit more woven together, like their existence was more dependent on the Soul Reaper, whereas it seems that it's more of a partnership. They set a spell, so it might be a little bit, it might be leaning a little bit uncomfortably close to enslavement, so we'll see how that ends up evolving, escalating. I see a lot of potential for where this is going to go, and it seems like we are going into action right off the gate with all of the Zanpakutos showing up. Not much of a mystery build-up after this point. Maybe there is, but like not in terms of like why the Zanpakutos are like acting differently and stuff like that. So it looks like it is just like right out of the gate we are going to be getting into some of this conflict. So it'll also be intriguing to see how the captains adapt, because like I was saying, the Zanpakuto aren't like their only form of combat. We've seen them use other abilities, and just like having physical strength and ability is also part of that. But like a Zanpakuto is still something that they rely a lot on for their power. So I want to see how they adapt to that, how they can adapt to that, who does better than others. I have a little bit of an idea of who I think will do better at this. I very much want to know what's going to happen with Kenpachi, because Kenpachi is like not around, but also he didn't bother to learn the name of his Zanpakuto. Like he has a very disconnected relationship with his Zanpakuto on a good day. So I don't know what would happen if he was around, and like how, I mean, I'm sure he would not be phased. He would be like, all right, I'll fight you with my bare hands because he's Kenpachi, and of course that would be his response to something like that. But it would be like, will he even notice if his Zanpakuto can't be in like Bankai or Shikai? Isn't it his like kind of always in Shikai? I just feel like it would be fun to see like what his response would be. It's always fun to see what Kenpachi would do because it's always just really impulsive and like emotion driven. But I was incredibly excited going into that first episode, and now that we've had some setup, I'm even more excited. So let's just get into episode 231. In 3, 2, 1, go. The volume is really loud. Is this gonna be our little pre-episode summary? I feel like the fact that they're like, this is what Zanpakuto are, is like gonna be proven to be like oversimplified. Like I feel like it's not going to fully encompass what they are, and we're gonna learn more about that as the series progresses. I'm surprised that Ichigo is somewhat involved in this story. I really wasn't sure if he would be. I mean, I know he is a Zanpakuto, but he's doing other things in the actual timeline. Is Urahara gonna be part of this? Doesn't he have a Zanpakuto? I mean, he would have one, given who he is. But like also, like, would it be affected in the same way if he's not part of Soul Society necessarily anymore? Yeah, he wasn't at this point. I was like, this is pre all of the stuff going down with Aizen. Uh-oh. Wouldn't Ichigo notice if something was up with his Zanpakuto as well, because it's always in Shikai? And if they were talking about how, like the other Soul Reapers were talking about how they couldn't even get into Shikai. Uh-oh. I'm assuming this is after the interaction with the Zanpakuto. Who else? Ah, her Zanpakuto following into the living world. I was wondering if they would be able to make it into the living world. Ooh, good shot. With the moon like lined up with the bridge. I mean, obviously it's for this aesthetic, but still, it's satisfying nonetheless. I do wonder how Zangetsu fits into this. Ooh. I think Ichigo's ever had that ability used against him. See, this is interesting too because the Zanpakuto will know their abilities really, really intricately. Integral. Whew, I can now speak today. They'll know their powers really well. Because it's their power as opposed to like a Soul Reaper having to learn it. So there might even be things that the Zanpakuto are capable of that they never shared with the Soul Reaper. You know what I mean? Especially if they seem to be a little bit uh upset about the whole being turned into a weapon used by Soul Reapers. I would say that they would also probably keep some stuff with themselves. Or just have like different abilities. You know, like they may be capable of different things when they're manifested in like their own form as opposed to being like a sword or something. Oh, the mod souls. Are we still acknowledging that they're around? I still haven't gotten the full story about them. I just know somewhat of who they are. Didn't Mayuri put a failsafe on his Zanpakuto so it couldn't attack him? Is that going to come up at some point during this? The crying blood thing seems concerning. I still love that image. The fact that he's talking about ruling over them, and then we have that level change. Good point. Where is the head captain? This is definitely like a threat from uh oh, interesting. So there are Zanpakuto that can decide not to be part of this. Which also, like, I think solidifies the fact that the Zanpakuto that are here, part of the conflict, are like choosing that and definitely have some kind of vendetta. Okay, but no one's allowed to hurt Momo. I care too much about her and I worry. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I thought Mayonnaise just like, oh, poison. Sure. Just like so unfazed by what's going on. Yeah, it was like everybody's bound to notice that, right? I'm trying to figure out which captain she's connected to. Won't there be like other Zanpakuto as well, though? From like other Soul Reapers? That we might not have like knowledge of? Like there's gotta be like as many Zanpakuto to Soul Reapers. So they also like don't appear the way that they do in like I don't know, inner world form. So it might even be difficult for some of the captains to like know which Zanpakuto is which except by like name. I thought that Byakuya would adapt well. That he like wouldn't get phased by the fact that he can't use his Zanpakuto. Ooh. So is that Byakuya's then? I wouldn't have guessed that from the aesthetic, but I guess it's kind of hard to know with Byakuya's because it's just the like pedal blade things. Uh-oh. Oh, does that mean that she doesn't know what happened to Byakuya then? Before she left? She doing some spying? It does not look good though. Because it's one thing to be like, oh, the captains are holding up okay, but it's another thing to think of all of the other Soul Reapers, but also just souls around. Ooh, yeah, no, Squad 4 is probably busy. Yeah, if they don't have Yamamoto, then I guess they're gonna have to kind of figure out a plan on their own. But also, like, not only is it a weird situation that probably none of them have experienced with, but it's also like diminishing the power of like every single Soul Reaper and having to adapt to going up against a force that is super strong and equal in number. That's what I was thinking. Or it could be that the Zanpakuto just didn't want to side with this rebel force. Why is cone just on his face? True. I feel like Death would show up for Byakuya and he'd be like, I don't have time for your ridiculousness. Walk away. Hello? So she went back? Probably to look for her brother. But I feel like also she might feel like it's running away, in a sense, to stay in the living world instead of going to Soul Society again. Ichigo's fighting music starting, so. They're gonna team up again? Soul Society arc vibes. Don't do anything rash. I mean, look, I feel a lot of things about Rikia. I think that there are things about her where she's a little bit more big picture than someone like, say, Ichigo, Ikagu, you know? She will do something rash. She literally just left in the middle of the night to go back to Soul Society where she knew that there was a high chance she would get hurt. And just like didn't get help from her friends, specifically the ones that don't have Zanpakuto. I'm just saying, like, wouldn't someone like Orihime or Sado or Ishida be like a good choice to bring with you? Because they don't have Zanpakuto, their powers aren't reliant on that. So wouldn't it make sense to bring them with you? Some good backup? Not just because I want more Sado in my life, but also like slightly because of that. Ooh, I just noticed that their silhouettes switch from their like human form to their um Bankai form. That's cool. Shikai maybe? Because Arenji's would have been a Shikai. Arenkai. A weird interlude. So it still feels like there's a lot of setup happening. Like we're still being like, hey, here's kind of what the rules are of like which Zanpakuto are siding with this little rebel group thing that we have, which ones aren't. How far is that influence? You know, is it just Soul Society and the Soul World, or does it go to Living World? Apparently not. So Living World, Zanpakuto not seeming to be affected in the same way. We also had that little moment where they were talking about the head captain and how his Zanpakuto didn't want to join them. So it may also be the Zanpakuto. I was thinking because someone like Urahara and Ichigo, like they're not strictly part of Soul Society, so maybe this is something specifically towards Soul Society, and like that's where the anger and frustration is for these Zanpakuto. So someone like Sengetsu might not feel the same way. It could also just be like the Soul Reaper. It depends on the relationship between the Soul Reaper and their Zanpakuto, probably. So it could be some of that too, not so much the geographical distance. Does it count as geographical if it's like a completely different dimension? I don't know. I was bad at geography. It might not be like because the difference between like the Soul World and the Living World. It could also be the Zanpakuto itself and the Soul Reaper that like is partnered with them. So we have like those rules established. We also have some mystery with some Soul Reapers going missing. So head captain is nowhere to be found. There's also Byakuya now, so he's somewhere, probably. He's probably fine. I mean, we know that he's fine because he shows up later, but also like he's Byakuya, and I really just feel like pure determination will get him through. We haven't seen Kenpachi, which makes me more curious now than it did before, because before I was like, maybe he really is just doing something. But now I'm like, maybe he's, working on something. I know that he's not the best strategic thinker. I don't know if that's because he can't be a strategic thinker or if it's just that he doesn't want to. I feel like it's more like he doesn't want to. I feel like he's had a lot of fighting experience, so he could be really, really good at strategizing. He just can't be bothered, especially since he's like, I should be able to just like hit this really hard with my sword and have it be okay. He's like, I'm strong enough that it should be fine. So I do wonder if he is like legitimately part of this in some way in the background and we just like don't know about it yet. But it does very much feel like it's about how do we set up what's going on, especially with the recovery sort of Soul Society, where they're trying to deal with the fact that there's been a bunch of damage, lots of people have gotten hurt. How do they collect information? Who's collecting the information? What are they even looking for? Like, where do they even start? So we have like the stealth squad or the stealth force. I always call them a squad, they're not. The stealth force who are trying to find these Zanpakuto and figure out exactly what they're doing, probably track what they're doing in some capacity, but we also like need information of just like why the Zanpakuto are the way that they are, because I do feel like there's probably some kind of mystery there, like some kind of backstory as to why they ended up working with the Soul Reapers, why they are upset about it at this point. I could also just be that they seem to have been forced into it to some capacity, but there might also be a larger history to that. So I don't know if we'll get into that information, if they have that information, like in the Central 46, that's where all the documents usually are. So I don't know if there's going to be some further investigation into that. I know that Urahara is working on some stuff. He probably has an idea of something that's going on. He seems to know a little bit about everything, especially since we know now after the Pendulum arc that he's like been in a lot of different positions. So he definitely has more experience and more knowledge and stuff than I think the average Soul Reaper does, especially like the average, even like captains who I feel like specialize in kind of their thing and they're like really, really good at that thing, but then they don't really have as much adaptability. So we'll see how that goes. We will also have to see if they are able to adapt to just like not being able to use their Zanpakuto, but also like I think it'll be a weird matchup because they have to know their specific Zanpakuto fairly well in terms of like their power set. But it was like I was saying during the reaction, I feel like there's probably some stuff that their Zanpakuto have never shared with them, especially if there is some animosity that like why would they share every trick that they have. So I think it'll be an interesting matchup to see exactly where the conflict goes and how they deal with each other. But a lot more going on with this than I assumed that there would be. It's a little more intense than I was expecting, but I'm here for it. You can click this playlist to go and see my previous reactions, or you can subscribe so you don't miss next time I post a Bleach video, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!